All right, good morning. We're almost afternoon, so we'll get started in a couple of minutes. My name is Angel. We'll be doing 45 minutes of yoga today. Um, for today's class, to start with, we can start on our backs. We're not going to do anything too active to start with, so you can just start on your backs in Shavasana, letting the legs straighten out on the mat, open out towards the side, letting the ankles go out towards the side. You can bring your arms out alongside the body, the palms facing up. When you put the palms facing up, it allows your chest to broaden and it allows the shoulder blades to rest more, flat on their backs, which is very nice, which is a very nice sensation. So just find a place of comfort. We'll start in a couple of minutes. And if you would like to start in a little bit more of an active pose for centering, you can just start on your seat if you'd like, just in regular Sukhasana, which is just a seated pose, or you can start in child's pose as well. But just find a comfortable pose for centering where you can just stay for a couple of minutes. Child's pose is also a great option. You can bring the toes to touch behind you, and then just sink the hips back down towards the heels, and then just walk the hands forward, settling into your child's pose. And the arms can be forward, or you can be back alongside the body if you want a little bit less of an active child's pose. You can also rest the forearms on the mat if you'd like. But I'll be starting on our backs. And it looks like it's 12, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So find whatever position is comfortable for you to start in. So as I said before, I will be starting in Shavasana. You can feel free to start in any position of centering of your choice. Just find somewhere where you can be still for a little bit. But before you do so, spend the next minute or so getting any final movements or wiggles out of the body. It can be a little difficult to make your way to stillness in the beginning, especially if you've been relatively active or working or doing anything kind of today. So get any final movements outside of your body before coming to stillness. And once you've got those movements out of your body, maybe gently close the eyes and start to make your way to a place of stillness. And this is not only a physical stillness, but also a mental stillness. And as you come to this place of stillness, begin to notice any sensations in the body. So notice how you feel. I know that as I'm laying here, I feel a little gentle soreness in my legs and a little bit of soreness in my arms. So I'll be a little bit gentler with my legs and my arms today. So just pay attention to your body and notice if there's any parts of your body that feel a certain way that require a little bit more attention, or places where you have places to explore, where you have room to explore. And now let's start to focus on our breath without changing it yet. Just notice how your breath is today. Depending on where you are in a day, or if you're just tuning in now and just setting up, your breath might be a little bit more hurried, or it might be a little bit more relaxed. You might be taking deep breaths. Just notice where your breath is. And notice the quality of it. Is it short or is it long? Are you breathing shallowly or are you breathing deeply? And now I invite you to start to breathe from your diaphragm and do what's called the 3-part yogic breath. And so as you breathe, your belly will expand, the ribs will expand, and the chest will expand. And as you exhale, you'll slowly compress the chest, belly, and the ribs. So as you breathe, it should be kind of like a wave. So your belly will inflate, your ribs will inflate, your chest will slightly rise, and as you exhale, your chest will slowly compress downwards, then your ribs, and then your belly. Now what you're doing here is you're breathing from your diaphragm, meaning you're breathing from the deepest place possible. And if you breathe from your diaphragm, it usually gives you more space in your body to move. not only when you are in poses, but just in general. Now, another thing that this breath does, it activates our relaxation response because our body realizes, oh, we're breathing nice and long, we're breathing deeply. There's nothing to worry about. I can relax. And now, as you lay here and breathe, maybe start to think about an intention or a dedication for your practice. This isn't something that is necessary, but it can be helpful to give you a purpose for class. So maybe ask yourself, what brought you to the mat today? And think about an intention or a dedication centered around what brought you to the mat today. And if you do choose to set an intention or a dedication, maybe using the next couple of breaths to seal it in, with a deep inhale in through your nose, and you just sigh it out of your mouth. And now start to open through the eyes, start to let the light in, and just start to hug the knees into the belly. And as you do so, you can wrap your hands around the shins and hug the shins into the body. And as you do so, as you're hugging the knees into the body, gently press away with your shins as well. And you can rock side to side here. You can start to bring some gentle movement into the body. You can massage your lower spine here. The lumbar spine is just switching side to side. And now coming to stillness, we're going to just start to extend the legs out, both on the mat. And we're just going to open our arms out as a T. Now, from here, hug the right knee in, just with the core. And you're going to use your left hand, keeping the right arm stretched out alongside the mat. You're going to start to roll the right knee over towards the left-hand side. Now, as you do so, pay attention to your right shoulder. So if your right shoulder starts to lift, which I can make it do by going all the way, ease out of the twist just a tiny bit. Now, you may notice my knee here is floating. And part of the reason why my knee here is floating is because if I start to let it settle down, my right shoulder starts to lift. And as my right shoulder lifts, the twist is coming out of the wrong place here. So the twist is coming out of my lumbar spine instead of the thoracic or the upper spine here. So we want to ease out a little bit so that we're twisting out of the right place. We'll be here for one more breath in. And as you exhale, bring the knee back towards the center and just hug it in, pressing the shin into the hands and the hands into the shin, just hugging it tightly. And then release the right leg, and we'll bring the left leg in. Once again, extend your arms out to either side of the body. And you'll bring the left knee in, and just use the strength of your core to draw it in. And now bring your right hand towards the outside of the left knee, and you're going to start to walk or draw the left knee over towards the right side. Once again, paying attention to this left shoulder. So we want to make sure that the left shoulder stays grounded. Now, once again, I have some space between my knee and the ground, so my knee is floating so that my left shoulder is grounded towards the mat. And as you breathe here, you may feel a gentle opening on the left outer hip. You can start to feel an opening in the back of the spine here, towards the thoracic spine. Take one more deep breath in. And on your exhale, bring the left knee back towards the center. Hug both knees into your chest. Now from here, we're going to make our way to seated. So you can start to rock back and forth along the spine. If you'd like to make your way to seated, or you can roll over to one side and eventually make your way to a seated pose. Now once you've made your way to Sukhasana, or a cross-legged seated position, you're going to bring either the right shin in front of the left or the left shin in front of the right, whichever feels more comfortable for you. You can just bring your hands towards your knees, or you can place them alongside your body and press into them to hold your spine straight. Now, we'll just take 3 deep breaths in here. So take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, sigh out of the mouth and release. 2 more breaths in through the nose. And exhale, sigh out of the mouth and release. 1 more breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, sigh out of the mouth, release. Now, as you inhale, draw the arms up overhead. And as you do so, pay attention to your shoulders. So make sure that the shoulders haven't risen up with the arms. Let the shoulders settle back down on the mat or on the body. Now, as you also have your arms raised overhead, start to think about turning the pinky fingers inward. So this is a little bit of external rotation in the arms, which is very useful to know for when we do downward facing dog and other externally rotated poses. So now you're going to bring your left hand alongside your left hip, and you're going to start to take a side bend. Now as you do so, press into this left hand in order to make sure that your right hip is grounded. Stretch through the right fingertips, and then just gently lean. Now, as you do this side bend, make sure that you're not collapsing the chest downwards. You want to make sure that both of your shoulders are stacked. Now, you can keep the gaze neutral. And by the gaze neutral, I mean you can just keep looking forward and keep the neck in line with the spine. Or you can start to look up towards that arm that's extended. We'll take 1 more deep breath in together. And as you exhale, come back up towards center. Reach the left arm up overhead. Take a deep inhale in. Make sure those shoulders are back down towards the body. And as you exhale, you'll plant that right hand alongside the right hip, and you'll start to take a side bend towards the right. Once again, pressing into this right hand to make sure that the left hip stays grounded, making sure that we're not collapsing down towards the mat, but we're staying upright, both of our shoulders stacked and in line with each other. Once again, the gaze can stay neutral, or you can start to look up towards this arm if you'd like. We'll be here for 1 more breath in. And as you breathe out, come back up towards center. Reach both arms up overhead. Take 1 more deep breath in. And as you exhale, roll over the knees. Plant your hands in front of your knees. Make your way towards your hands and knees, so a tabletop position. You want the hands below the shoulders, or the wrists below the shoulders, and you want the knees below the hips. Now in your tabletop, for now, just find some gentle movement that feels good to you. Something that feels intuitive, just any wiggles that your body needs, that you may feel are necessary. So you can start with big circles, going to one side or the other, making sure to go into both directions. You can wag side to side. I know this is a very good release for the hips side to side. You can also start to do cat-cows. You can go back into child's pose, but we'll do that for about 3 more breaths. So find some movement to start to warm up through the body. And now, coming to stillness, we are going to do a little bit of cat-cow here, just to warm up through the spine. So a little bit of flexion and extension of the spine. So coming to a stable tabletop first, you're going to start to drop the belly, start to arch the spine, bring the chest through and bring the chin up, coming into your cat-cow pose. Now as you exhale, you're going to round through the spine, pressing into the hands. The chin will slightly tuck down towards the chest. And you'll press into those hands to really round through the spine. We'll do that 2 more times. So as you inhale, you'll come to your cow pose. And as you exhale, you'll press into your hands and round the spine like a cat. 1 more time. Coming through your cow pose. And as you exhale, once again, trying to accentuate each of your vertebrae as you do this. Coming into your cow pose, cat pose. Now coming back towards the neutral spine, you're going to extend the right leg behind you, keeping the ball of the foot grounded. Now, once the ball of the foot is grounded, you can just start to shift back and forth on the ball of that foot, warming up through the calf, starting to open through the back of the leg here, and trying to keep that leg straight. So the knee drawing in towards the leg towards straight, and just shift back and forth. Now coming to stillness with the shoulders above the wrist, you're going to start to plant that right foot down so that the arch of the foot is in line with the toes here. Now we're just setting up for basically a supported Vashisthasana, so a supported side plank. So you can start to shift the weight gently into that left hand. And as you do so, make sure that you're pressing into that left hand so you're pushing away from the shoulder. Press into the left shin for stability. You can keep your right hand on your hips here. You can keep the gaze neutral, or you can start to raise the arm up overhead. Well, as you do so, press into these hands, start to lift up through the left side body here. Now, if the balance here is a little bit challenging, you can kick the leg out a little bit for a little bit more support. Still making sure that you're pressing evenly into the shin and into the left hand here. For a little added challenge, you can float up the right leg about hip height, making sure that the toes are pointed in the same direction that you're facing and that the toes are flexed. We'll be here for one more breath in. And as you exhale, the legs lifted, begin to lower it back down onto the mat. You're going to plant the right hand, and you're just going to bring the right knee back to meet the left. And just take one round of anything that feels good here to release. So you can shift side to side. You can do cat-cow, whatever it is. Now, we're going to do that on the other side. So start to extend the left leg out behind you, keeping the ball of the foot grounded. And you're just going to start to shift back and forth with the ball of the foot. Now, what we're doing here is we're starting to bring some awareness towards the calf, towards the hamstring, letting it know that it's time to wake up, that we're about to use you. We're going to warm you up just a little bit. Now, coming to stillness with the shoulders above the wrists. You're going to start to plant that left foot so that the toes are in line with the arch of the left foot. Now you can use these fingertips to slowly bring your hand towards the left hip, making sure once again to press into that right shin, press into that right hand so that you're not collapsing into that shoulder, you're pressing away from that shoulder. And you can keep your hand on the hip, on the left hip, left hand on the left hip. You're going to start to reach it up overhead. Now for a little added challenge, once again, you can start to reach that left leg up, making sure that the toes are flexed and that the toes are pointed towards the same way that you're facing. And we'll be here for one more breath in. And as you exhale, bring the foot back down, bring that left hand to meet the right, and then bring the left knee to meet the right, and just shift the knee side to side to release. Now from here, you're going to bring the toes to touch behind you. And you're going to bring the hips back down towards the heels, making your way to child's pose. Now, you can take a closing child's pose if you'd like, or you can take it about as wide as the mat, whatever feels a little bit more comfortable for you. You're going to walk the fingertips forward as much as you can, ground the forehead, and press into these hands. Now, as you do so, there should be kind of a sensation of external rotation. So the biceps pointing upwards, the triceps coming down. So it's kind of like this rotation where the elbow creases will start to point upwards and the bicep or the triceps will start to point down. Now, throughout practice, you can feel free to come to this pose at any time as needed, either to catch your breath, to rest, or if you just need a moment to recenter. Now we're just going to shift forward once again back into our tabletop. And you're going to walk the fingertips just a tiny bit forward so that your hands are in front of your shoulders. You're going to curl the toes under, and you're going to lift the knees up, but only about an inch, so that they're hovering off of the mat. And we're starting to use our core muscles here. And just breathing and gently holding our knees off of the ground. We'll take one deep breath in together. And as you exhale, start to straighten through the legs, make your way to downward facing dog, and find some movement here immediately. So you can pedal through the feet, you can shift back and forth. But find any movement to start to warm up through the body. I know I like to take some time in the beginning to measure out my downward facing dog, making sure that it's the right and appropriate length. All right, so coming to stillness in our downward facing dog, let's all shift forward into our plank pose. Now you can keep your plank either with the knees up or the knees down if you'd like. Notice that when my knees are down, they are behind my hips. So I'm still engaged through the core here. I'm still pressing through my hands so that my back is kind of doming because I'm pressing into my hands very strongly. Now with knees up or knees lowered, just breathe here, making a long line from the crown of the head towards the heels. We'll be here for one more breath together. And as you exhale, shift back into downward facing dog once again and just release. Now once again, coming to stillness, you're going to start to walk your hands back towards your heels or towards your feet, making your way to a forward fold or a Uttanasana at the back of the mat. Now here, once again, feel free to find any movement or stillness if you'd like. You can clasp opposite shoulder, elbows and sway side to side. You can let the arms dangle. You'd like a little bit more shoulder action, you can clasp the hands behind your back, stretch them up overhead. But find something that feels good for you here. Now coming to stillness, on an inhale, bring your hands towards your shins, extend the crown of the head forward, coming to a flat spine. We'll hold here for one breath in. And as you exhale, you release. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, bring your hands towards your shins, extend the crown of the head forward. And exhale, fold. One more time, bringing the hands towards the shins, extending the crown of the head forward. And then exhale, release. Now as you inhale, you're going to start to roll your way all the way up to standing. The head and shoulders will be the last thing to roll up here. So taking your time to eventually make your way to standing. And once you've made your way to standing, we're just going to take a moment to set up through our mountain pose. So our feet can be hips width distance or the toes touching. If our feet are hips width distance, make sure that the big toes are parallel with each other. So it can kind of feel like your knees are a little bit going inwards depending on your anatomy. So make sure that you do whatever feels better for you. Now, making sure as you stand here, press evenly into both of your feet so that the quads start to lift away from the knees, so that you're actively pressing into the feet. And then making sure that we have more or less a neutral pelvis here. So you may notice my pelvis is not too forward or too far back. It's more or less neutral with my spine. And then you'll want to bring your hands alongside your body and point the palms forward so that we're broadening through the chest. Finally, through our head, we want to make sure that our head is not pointing upwards or down. We want to make sure that we're looking more or less forward, so keeping a neutral spine. So once you have found that alignment, we're going to go through a couple halves and salutations to warm up through the body. So as you inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Maybe palms touch. And as you exhale, you'll fold all the way down. As you inhale, bring your hands towards your shins, extending the crown of the head forward. And then as you exhale, fold. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, bring your hands towards your heart and alongside the body. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, fold. Inhale, bring your hands towards your shins, extending the crown of the head forward. And then exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands towards your heart and alongside your body. 1 more time. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, bring your hands towards your shins, extending the crown of the head forward. And as you exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands towards your heart and alongside your body. Now, as you reach your arms up overhead, we're going to fold this time just to hang out in our forward fold. You're going to bend your knees as much as you need to in order to plant the hands, and you're going to start to walk the hands forward. And we're going to walk straight towards a plank. Now, once you've made your way to a plank, we'll hold here for a breath. So take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out of the mouth, and just drop the knees down. So we're going to flow through a vinyasa here. So make sure that your elbow creases are pointed forward. You're going to start to bend through the elbows, letting the chest go down, making sure that the torso all reaches the ground at the same time. So you're going to press into the hands here and start to lift through the chest, keeping the neck neutral. So you should be looking more or less down and in front of the mat. And then as you exhale, you'll fold. So that was your cobra pose. We'll do that 2 more times. So as you inhale, press into the hands, and it should feel like you're trying to drag the hands back and bring your chest forward. And exhale, fold. 1 more time. So inhale, bringing the chest through, pulling back through those hands, keeping the elbows alongside the body. And exhale, fold. And from here, just shift back into child's pose and breathe. On an inhale, lift the hips, curl the toes under, and as you exhale, downward facing dog. From here, start to reach your right leg up and back behind you, keeping the toes flexed and pointed down. As you do so, make sure that you're letting the left heel settle back down. It doesn't necessarily need to touch the mat, but it should more or less, the energy should be drawing down towards the mat. We'll be here for 1 more breath in, and as you exhale, step the right foot between the hands, coming into a low lunge. We're going to drop the knee down. We're going to draw the inner thighs in together, and on an inhale, make your way to a low crescent lunge. Take 1 breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to plant the hands alongside the foot. You're going to curl the left toes under, and you're just going to step forward into a forward fold. As you inhale, you're going to reach your arms up overhead, and as you exhale, bring your hands towards your heart and alongside the body. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and as you exhale, fold. Now bend the knees as much as you need to plant the hands alongside the body. And then as you exhale, you're going to step the right foot back, coming into a low lunge. You're going to settle the knee back down, and on an inhale, make your way to a low crescent lunge. We'll take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, you'll plant your hands alongside the left foot. You'll curl the right toes under, press into the hands, step the left foot back to downward facing dog. And just pedal out to release. Now coming to stillness, we'll reach that left leg straight up and back behind us, making sure that the left foot is flexed, the toes are pointed down, and the right heel is energetically drawing down towards the mat. We'll take 1 deep breath in here, and as you exhale, you'll draw the left knee in and forward, and step it between your hands, coming into a low lunge. Drop the knee, draw the inner thighs in together, and on an inhale, make your way to a low crescent lunge. We'll take 1 breath in together, and as you exhale, you'll plant your hands alongside the left foot, curl the right toes under, step the right foot forward to meet the left, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, bring your hands towards your heart and alongside the body. We'll do that for the last time on the other side. So inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, you'll fold yourself all the way down. Bend the knees as much as you need to plant your hands alongside the feet. Step the left foot back, round the left knee, draw the inner thighs in together, and on an inhale, make your way to a low crescent lunge. Take 1 deep breath in here, and as you exhale, you'll bring both hands to frame the right foot. You'll curl the left toes under, press into the hands, and step the right foot back to downward facing dog. Now you can stay in downward facing dog or you can shift forward into plank. Now from here, you can drop the knees, once again making sure that the elbow creases are pointed forward. Take one deep breath in, and as you exhale, chaturanga, making your way towards your belly. Inhale, press into those hands, draw the chest forward, cobra pose, and as you exhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. All right. So now draw the right foot up and back behind you, three-legged dog with the toes flexed, toes pointed down. And as you exhale, step the right foot between the hands, making your way into a low lunge. Now from here, we're just going to settle the back heel down. So we're going to plant the back foot, making sure that we have a heel to arch alignment here. So right heel to left arch. And we're just going to cartwheel our hands straight up into warrior two. But for a moment, let's bring our hands towards our hips. So we want to make sure that everything below our torso is basically pointed towards the front. Now you may notice I just angled myself a little bit forward because I just saw myself on camera and my right knee was behind my right ankle. So we want to make sure that this right knee is above the right ankle. Now you can give yourself a gentle self-assist here. You can bring your hands towards your thighs and gently help them externally rotate. So you're in a little bit of external rotation here. And by bringing your hands here, you can kind of gently encourage your legs to do that rotation. Now, as you do that, make sure that you're pressing evenly into the left foot and the right foot. So you're going to press into both of these legs. They're both very active. Now, once you have found that feeling, that sensation, bring those arms out alongside the body, coming into warrior two. You can start to turn the gaze over the right palm, over the right middle finger. We'll take one deep breath in here. And as you exhale, flip the front palm and reverse your warrior, making sure to not lose that bend in that front leg. So I just peek forward to make sure that I'm still bending into that front leg. One more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, we'll bring this right forearm towards the right knee. And we'll go to extended side angle. So draw this left arm down and forward, alongside the ear with the palm facing down. So I want to make sure we're making a long line from here, from the tip of our left fingertips, all the way towards our left toes, essentially. Now, in this extended side angle, we want to make sure that this right arm is in a weight-bearing joint. So I'm not just bearing all my weight on this arm. So I'm actively lifting away from here. So I can move this arm, and I'm still in the same pose. This is just a reminder of where my body is supposed to be. Be here for one more breath. And then as you exhale, you'll cartwheel the hands down to frame the right foot. And then you're going to press into both of these hands to step the right foot back into your downward facing dog. And you can stay in downward facing dog, or you can shift forward if you'd like to flow. You can keep the knees up or down, or you can hover. And you can inhale up to your cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale to your downward facing dog. We'll be here for a couple of breaths. Catching your breath as needed. Now coming to stillness, we're going to raise that left leg straight up and back behind us with the toes flexed and pointed down. And as you exhale, you'll step in between the hands, setting up for a low lunge. Now you're going to draw the right heel down. You're going to come to a heel to arch alignment and make your way to warrior two. And I'll turn the other way so that I'm not facing, my back isn't facing you. So setting up for warrior two on this side. Okay. And once again, we want to make sure that that left knee is above the left ankle. We want a heel to arch or heel to heel alignment, depending on whatever feels better for you. When you straighten this leg, you want to make sure that this foot is more or less straight. So the knee should track over the right middle toe, essentially. And once again, we'll bring our hands towards our hips. Give ourselves a little bit of a self-assist here. So we can bring our hands towards our thighs and gently encourage them outwards so that we can gently encourage that external rotation. Once again, make sure that you're pressing evenly into both the left and the right foot. And then once you have found that engagement and that alignment, you'll bring those arms alongside the body and extend them out. And we'll take one deep breath in. And as you exhale, you'll flip the front palm and begin to reverse your warrior, making sure to keep that bend in that front leg. We'll take one deep breath in here. And as you exhale, you'll bring that left forearm towards the left thigh. And you'll bring this right arm down, forward, and up alongside the ear, with the bicep alongside the ear, the palm facing down. Once again, making sure that this is not a weight-bearing joint. So we're actively lifting, using the strength of our obliques and our side body to hold us here. We'll take one more breath in. And as you exhale, you'll just cartwheel the hands down to frame the left foot. You'll press into the hands to step the left foot back to downward facing dog. You can stay in downward facing dog, or you can shift forward into plank. Take either half or full chaturanga. Inhale through your upward facing dog, and exhale into your downward facing dog. Turn the other way. All right, so we'll add on just a little bit this time. So, actually no, we won't. So on an inhale, reach that right leg up and back behind us with the toes flexed. And as you exhale, you're gonna step the left foot between the hands, and you're just gonna ground the left knee behind you. You're gonna start to walk the fingertips back to begin to straighten this front leg. And you may notice as I did that, my hips are behind my front knee, so I'll need to walk my foot forward a little bit so that my hip is directly above my knee. So we're just setting up for a half split here, or Ardha Hanumanasana. Now for a moment, you can come upright and bring your hands towards your hips. To make sure that they're even and in line with each other, you're drawing the right hip back, making sure that those right toes are flexed back in towards the body. And you can either stay upright and start to gently fold towards that extended leg. You can frame the leg and fold. Just make sure not to round here. And if the floor feels a little far away, you can stay upright. Be here for 2 more breaths. Making sure that we're not just jamming the leg to straight. So the leg is active here. Be here for 1 more breath in. And as you exhale, gently bring that leg back in. If there's no easy or not awkward way to do that, we'll bring that right knee right above the ankle once again. We'll curl the left toes under. And we'll just step that right leg straight up and back behind you to downward facing dog. Just pedal out to release. Now, we're going to lift the left leg straight up and back behind you for your 3-legged dog. And then as you exhale, you'll step it forward between the hands, coming into your low lunge. You'll drop the knee and start to shift the hips back until the leg's straight. But once again, I need to walk the foot forward to make sure that my hips are above my knee. Now, you can come upright and bring your hands towards your hips. So we're setting up for that same half split here. And we'll take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you'll start to hinge through the hips. And you can stay upright with your hands on your hips, or you can bring your hands alongside the foot, on either side of the foot, if that is accessible to you. Now, as you do this, you want to make sure that you're not rounding. Keep a strong and straight open spine here. Be here for 1 more breath in. And as you exhale, walk back forward to frame the left foot, curl the left toes under, press into the hands, step the left foot back to downward facing dog. Just pedal out to release. Now you'll just drop the knees down towards the mat and make your way towards a child's pose. You can bring your arms alongside the body. If you'd like to rest just a little bit longer. Anyway, we're going to start to walk the hands in towards the body, making our way into Virasana. But just for a moment, we're just going to shift the hips out to one side and extend the legs out on the mat. As you do so, we are going to set up for Dandasana or staff pose. What that means is you're just going to bring your hands alongside the body. Now they may need to be, depending on the length of your limbs, they may need to be a little further out or they can be a little closer in. But basically you're going to press into the hands so that you're not rounding through the spine. So it's kind of helping you to hold you upright. So press into the hands, hold yourself upright. Now, keeping this length, we're going to make our way to Paschimottanasana, which is just a forward fold. Now, before we do so, make sure that your feet are flexed. So the feet are active here. We want to draw the toes back towards the head. And we don't want to just jam the leg to straight. So you can keep bent knees if you need to, but just make sure that your legs are actively pointed back towards you so that the toes are pointed back, so that the calf and the hamstrings are active here. So pressing into either side of the hips, you're just going to start to walk the fingertips forward and fold. Now you may not fold that much, and that's okay. If you're folding by just 1 degree, that's great. You don't need to reach towards the toes. Now you may notice if I'm reaching towards my toes, I have a little bit of rounding. I can hold myself upright, but that's not exactly the most comfortable. So I'm just going to fold. I'm going to bring my hands alongside the knees and just fold. So in most forward folds, you want to think about drawing the belly button towards wherever you're folding rather than your head. Because when you bring your head forward, you start to round if you look at my spine. Instead of thinking of drawing your belly button forward, you won't round when you do that. So one more breath in, and as you exhale, just come back up. Shift a little bit forward on the mat so that you can lay back. So we're just going to extend our arms forward, and we'll slowly make our way towards our backs. And you can do this as slowly or as quickly as you want. You can test your core by letting the shoulders lay up just a little bit. This is a little bit of a hollow body hold, essentially. But eventually, we'll settle the shoulders down onto the mat. You can hug the knees into the body and just start to sway side to side to release. And now, keeping the right knee drawn in, you're going to extend the left leg on the mat, keeping the toes flexed. Bring this end class the way we started. So you're going to bring the left hand towards the outside of the right knee, extend the right arm alongside the mat with the right shoulder grounded, and you're just going to start to bring the left knee, or the right knee towards the left side of the body. Maybe noticing how different it feels from the beginning of the class. If it feels any different at all, you feel a little bit more open, or if there's a little bit more space. One more breath in, and as you exhale, draw the right knee back in towards the center, draw the left knee in to meet it, just gently rock side to side, release. And when you come to stillness once again, you'll keep the left knee drawn in. You're going to extend the right leg out, keeping the right toes flexed. You're going to bring the right hand towards the outside of the left knee, extend the left arm out on a T. And you're just going to start to draw the left knee over towards the right side of the body, making sure that that left shoulder doesn't lift off of the mat as you do so. Doing a supine twist. Be here for one more breath in, and one more breath out. And take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, you'll draw the left knee back in towards the center. Hug both knees back into your chest. And then you'll just plant the feet on the mat, making sure that the knees are more or less above the ankles. Depending on your anatomy, you can be a little further back or a little bit more forward. So we're just going to do a bridge to end class. And we'll just hold it for 5 breaths, which I think we have enough time for. So you're going to press into the hands, you're going to press into the arms, into the shoulders, into the feet, and start to lift the hips up. Making a long line from the tips of your knees all the way to about the top of your chest. As you do so, there's a bit of internal rotation happening in the thighs here. So it should feel like your knees are drawing in towards each other without actually drawing them in towards each other. So kind of like you're holding something between the legs. You're going to press into the hands, press into the feet, and squeeze. And we'll be here for 5 of your own breaths. So if you come out faster than I do, that's totally fine. Or if you take longer, that's totally fine. Final breath in here for me. And as you exhale, you'll slowly roll back down. You can hug the knees back into the chest. And if you really want a little of a nice release here, you can come into happy baby, grabbing the inner or outer soles of the feet, trying to draw the knees in towards your armpits. Now, if you notice your back starting to lift, if you need to lift your back in order to do this, you can grab behind the hamstrings instead and still draw the knees towards your armpits. And this way you don't compromise your spine while trying to do the pose. Now for the next minute or so, think about any final poses or movements that you need, but otherwise just make your way to Shavasana, extending the feet out on the mat, sending the arms out on the mat, alongside the body on the mat, the palms facing upward, close the eyes, let go of the breath, and just be. And start to bring gentle movement into the body, just starting to wake up essentially. And you can take a full body stretch if you'd like, extending through the tips of your toes, into your feet. Eventually we'll roll over onto our right side, resting the side of the head onto the temple, onto the extended arm. Gently press into the hands to make your way to a seated pose with the eyes closed or with a gentle gaze. Now, based on whatever cross of the leg you use at the beginning of class, take the opposite cross now. So for me, my dominant leg is my right leg, which tends to be in front, so now my left leg is in front. And now bring your hands towards your heart for Anjali Mudra, and just bow your chin down towards your chest, bowing to yourself in gratitude and in honor for making your way onto the mat today. And also honoring your intentions and your reason for making it to the mat today. Now I'll end class with 1 deep breath in and 1 deep breath out. And as you do so, you'll just open through the eyes. And I'll bow to you and say namaste, which means I bow to you. Once again, my name is Angel. We did 45 minutes of yoga. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to check out our schedule. We have a bunch of wonderful teachers teaching all sorts of classes throughout the week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great day.